Up next, dear participants, we have the much awaited keynote presentation by our Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. Saoud Humaid Salim Al-Shoaili, DG of Policies and Governance Department and Head of the National Space Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology, Oman. His speech title is Hybrid Cloud and Cybersecurity, the Case of the Sultanate of Oman. Thank you, Dr. Saoud, for joining us today, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Bridget, and other colleagues who are participating on this summit. As Bridget said, I am the Director General for Policies and Governance in the Ministry of Transport and Communications, and my department is in charge of drafting the national policy for the ICT sector, one of which is the National Cloud Policy, which paved the way for the cloud migration from on-premise to the cloud. In my short presentation, actually, I'm trying just to share it with you. Basically, I will share with you the experience of the Ministry of Transport and Communication with the government units in managing the transformation or migration from is my presentation clear, Bridget?
Yes, it is. If you could play in the presentation mode, please.
Okay. It's about hybrid cloud and cybersecurity, the Ministry of Transport, Communication and IT experience with the government units in the Sultanate of Oman, and how we manage the migration from on-premise, or the gradual migration from on-premises to the cloud. In this short time, I will talk about these several points, which is the current situation of the government units when it comes to the storage business as is today, as we speak, then challenges that have provoked the current situation, and then force the migration to cloud, and then the evolvement of the cloud service in the government unit business to be, the role of the ministry, the cloud security and privacy, how we handle it, or at least how we contributed toward minimizing the impact of the security and privacy, and the way forward. The current situation of the IT services for the government units in Oman can be characterized by several points. We have the government data center hosted in the ministry and connected with the Oman government network, which is the government transformation backbone that connects all government units to the main data center. And also we have distributed on-premises data centers across the various units. Currently, we have duplication of government purchase, duplication of investment, duplication of resources, to the extent in the ministry we realize that some units purchase exactly the same solutions, the same software, the same hardware that is not utilized efficiently. Duplication of IT resources, as I said, software platforms with lack of efficient and effective utilization. We have weak technological adaptation. Most of the technologies or of the solutions that is available in most of the units are utilized to the minimum. It is similar to individual who is holding the latest model of iPhone or any smartphone and using it for WhatsApp, Facebook, and some of the social media, and we don't know about the other activities. It's exactly this experience can be replicated at the institutional level. Most of the technologies are not fully adapted and utilized. Besides that, we have lack of national capacity and skills across units. We are suffering, and because of the lack of capacity of individual and talented capacity, that is why we are not maximizing the benefit of the IT resources. And on top of that, we don't have accredited cloud service providers that can provide the cloud service for the government. And this is because of the security and privacy issues, the security concerns of the country, or the national security concern in the country, requires us to have accredited service provider before we can host and migrate the government data from on-premise, the government data solutions, whatever you name them, IT services, from on-premise to the cloud. So far, we have gone through various challenges that affected and caused loss or damage for our national system. We have gone through natural disaster like cyclone. back in 2007, the data center of the police was attacked and severely broken, to the extent they lost a lot of the national civil service data. We have gone also through ransomware virus and internet-based attacks, ransomwares, and which caused us to lose many of the resources and required a lot of efforts to bring them back. System sudden malfunctioning causing data loss or damage, and lack of resources. I mean, the entire world now suffering from lack of financial resources available for adapting or keep modernizing the technologies available with units. And because of that, we cannot modernize all IT services across units. Then that has forced us to think about how can we bring the technologies that can be shared. We know that the on-premise is characterized by high CapEx and OpEx for solution software, high CapEx for capacity building. These all, the duplication of IT resources in the government units have weakened the government capability to keep modernizing the resources for all units. And that resulted in weak technological change and adaptation in government units. Due to those various challenges that I just have presented, the government has decided to make the migration to cloud as a national policy for all government units. And we issued early this year the national first cloud first policy. And the main philosophy of this policy is to stop immediately any expansion or new investment in the on-premise data centers or on-premise IT services. This will stop all government units to make any expansion. B, because the Ministry of Technology used to host the government units to the national data center, we also stopped hosting them. So allowing them not to expand and also not to host them in our data center left no more choice than moving to cloud. So for that, the MTC High IT has paved the way to the cloud migration through several points. First of all, the governance structure of the cloud. We identified who will be the policymaker and who will be the regulator and watching the migration, and who will be the accreditor to provide for the service providers. We issued also some laws before we moved to the cloud, such as personal data protection law. Also, the ministry have developed the national broadband strategy to ensure that all government units across the country between their headquarters and other branches are connected. So nowadays we have something like 80% of the residents, including the government offices, are connected to broadband network, and they can be easily, migrated from the headquarters to the cloud. Where, as I said, we have data policies, including data sharing, openness, classification. So we need to classify the national government data before they can be migrated to cloud. We have developed in the ministry the accreditation program, which I said qualifying the suppliers of the service to ensure they are meeting the security and privacy requirements of the security agencies in Oman before we allow them to provide that service. And they provide the various range of cloud services, including gas, SaaS, and PaaS as well, according to the client's demand. We have also the cybersecurity response team in place to keep watching what's going on in the migration and after, with the support of the service provider. And of course, that is all supported by capacity building and financial support for all governments. The accreditation program is the key driver for the growth of the cloud service, because the accreditation program has several arms. From one side, as I said, we stop the expansion in the government units. From the other side, we stop also hosting the government units. From the other side, we bring the suppliers by accrediting. So far, the ministry have accredited 5 companies to provide cloud services and 5 companies to provide security services to all government units. We also stop government units dealing with any other providers than those who have been accredited by the ministry, because we make sure that the privacy and security of the government data and the government IT systems is handled with full requirement from the security point of view. And supply and demand equation of the cloud service, we are sure it will flourish the cloud market in the country. The qualified providers provide cloud service across the various range, as I said, SaaS, yes, PaaS, as per the client's needs. The accreditation program, as I said, have qualified five companies, and those companies, and as I said, also the government units cannot deal with any other companies or any other service provider than those. In general, it's expected that all government units will migrate to cloud gradually and fully in the coming 3 to 5 years. And that's what we call the hybrid. In the gradual migration from on-premise to the cloud, they are using partially on-premise and partially in cloud, with the decrease in the on-premise to increase in the cloud. The migration is executed gradually. A collective strategy also is implemented to maximize the benefits of any services purchased and allow the share of resources. In parallel, the government units are educated and informed about the just-in-need, as-per-need, pay-as-you-go mode of services provisions to efficiently utilize the services and just take what they want, rather than all government units purchasing licenses or purchasing softwares that they don't use it, or purchasing systems that they do not use it effectively. It is expected that the cloud market will grow rapidly in the country because it's the only path for the future. And MTC IT will continue to monitor and ensure and support the compliance of the security and privacy standards from both sides, from the suppliers of the service and from the end user of the service. That is all what I want to share with you about the country experience in performing the cloud migration and how we handle the privacy and security issues associated with the cloud. Thank you very much, Bridget. That's all what I have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saoud. As of now, I do not see any questions coming your way. However, if there are any questions, I will ensure that I shoot out an email to you, and probably you can revert back to them over an email. And additionally, dear participants, I would like to thank Dr. Saoud for giving us his precious time during the tough time Oman is going through. And dear Dr. Saoud, thank you very much for living up to your promise. We truly, my entire team is truly thankful to you for giving us your precious time today.
It's my pleasure, Bridget, to be among such, valuable participants as well. We are learning from each other's experiences. And thank you very much for your concern about the bad condition in the country these days due to the cancer. Thank you very much. As I said, you can share my presentation with anyone. My Gmail is there. They can contact me for anything related to this.
Certainly.
You are all welcome. If you have any questions, please do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saoud, for your time today, and our prayers are with the entire Oman.